Who do we have here today? Who the fuck is this?
Me?
Yeah, where did you fucking come from?
How do you get in my house? I closed that window. How the fuck did you get in here? Who let these people in? Mom! Ma!
What's up, Warren? What are you doing in my house?
In my house, my spooky ass house with this guy. This guy right here.
I know. I'm so excited. You got your background matching ours. It's
This
so
my
fun.
Warren.
You know this is Rocktober, baby. This is how we do. Wait a minute. There's an app for that. No, I'm not going to do that. But anyway, it is Rocktober. It's almost over.
I know it's going so fast. It's making me sad.
No, it's like great sex. It just starts off great, and then 20 seconds later, it's over.
It's over.
It's just terrible. It's just like a thing. All right, that's all.
True. It's true. Speaking of Halloween, what do you guys got planned for Halloween? Damn, it went silent.
Wait, it's on a Tuesday. It's on a Tuesday this year. Which I always hate that when it's on Tuesday. I think last year when we did our Halloween show, it was actually on Saturday night. It was on that Saturday, so it worked out perfect. But I think Chicago Corner, I think they're going to be doing a little Halloween funsies. They might be dressing up. I think I might crash their party if I can find their StreamYard link, and I'll find it. That'll be some Indiana Jones shit. I'll look for that motherfucker and get it. So anyway, so that's probably what I'm going to do on Halloween is hang out with those nerds. Otherwise, just sit here and watch like I always do with my cigarette in the dark going, yes.
Very nice.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
That's nice. That's very nice. What are you doing, Willie?
Well, I'm usually off on Tuesday evenings these days, so I haven't thought about it. I was like, well, maybe I should do something for Halloween. So
you should.
I already got my Halloween costume on, so I mean, and I wear that 365 days a year, so that's taken care of. So
you're not dressing up as anything. You're just gonna go as yourself?
I always dress up for Halloween. No, I'll think of something. It just occurred to me, damn, it's on a Tuesday. Now I got to think of what to do.
Dude, it's so easy. Just put on a suit that kind of looks like a cop suit. Leslie Nielsen. You're welcome.
Or I could put on a suit and get some wire rim, some cheap wire rim glasses, and get my face like this. I'm very Mitch McConnell.
Ooh,
the turtle.
That would be a good. Maybe I'd wear a turtle shell with it.
Yeah, because I could do a great Mitch McConnell.
That's right.
Yeah,
you should. You should do that.
Every time I watch you Willie, and you do that Mitch McConnell, I pee a little bit. Partly because of incontinence, but mostly because that shit is funny as fuck, man. Because this is like, I'm like, Jesus, is Willie choking or is he always doing McConnell? Oh, he's doing McConnell. There's the rest of that pee. Oh,
here's my Mitch McConnell impression as of late. Well,
glitch.
Yeah, I can have a little what you call modem sound in the background with the yeah. Yeah,
that's awesome. Hell yeah, I love it. I'm here for it.
I'm so baked right now.
What you could do is just dress up like Mitch McConnell, but then in your little pocket protector or right here on your pocket, say 404 error not found.
Yep.
404 page not found.
Page not.
Oh my god, that's good. You should do it. Now we've officially came up with your Halloween costume. You're doing it. You have to do it. I need a picture.
Rick said in the chat, he said that was too believable. He thought Willie was going to join us down here. Rick, this is a crossover episode, by the way. So Rick is the concierge of hell. in case anybody didn't know. Ring, 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 banana phone. He lives down there. So he works down there, and he gets smoke breaks if you you know what I mean. The smoke breaks.
Because they're in
He's
hell.
in hell and everything's on fire. Jeez. Okay.
Got it. Smoke break.
I the crickets.
No, I just heard myself. I can hear myself. Okay, wait, it went away. Never mind. All right. I heard myself there for a second. No, I was echoing.
No, I think you're on some shrooms. Willie, you're a LSD connoisseur. What is she on? What kind of hallucinogen is Jimmy on? She's your co-host.
Drugs.
Well, I mean, the only thing I've known her to, it's a mild hallucinogenic. I know she's a pothead. That's not a bad thing.
Drugs.
Yeah.
Is she licking toads? Willie, is she licking toads?
Lots of drugs.
I don't know.
This is a psychedelic episode, Earl.
But I'm not supposed to call it pot or weed. I'm supposed to call it cannabis.
Cannabis, yes, cannabis. Apparently. That's official.
Cannabis for the rest of us.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes.
Hey, Willie, do you remember, Jimmy, you may remember this too. Do you remember that sketch comedy Mr. Show with Bob and David on HBO? Did you ever watch any of that?
Mr. Show.
Okay. Had Bob Odenkirk, David Cross. Anyway, it was an ensemble thing, but they had this sketch. It was this Sid and Marty Krofft spin-off. It was like skim and criminy crap, and it was the altered state of Drugachusetts, right? And they had like all these puppety, like 60s and 70s looking puppets, but they're all dressed up like mushrooms and pot brownies and joints. Oh, anyway, I did not hallucinate that. That's a real one. We're gonna watch that one night, so it's very good. I highly recommend it.
A movie I highly recommend. It's one of my favorite Peter Sellers movie. Warren, I told you about this film. It's called I Love You, Alice B. Toklas. You ever heard of it, Jimmy?
Nope.
Yeah, 1968 is a Peter Sellers movie. It's one of the few times a British actor has an American accent that doesn't annoy the hell out of me. And he's basically just a mainstream lawyer who befriends a young hippie girl, and then he ended up having an affair with her, and in the movie, but she was stranded. He gave her a ride to his apartment. He was a very nice person, and he let her stay for the night, and he had no ulterior motives or anything like that. And he was just a nice person, and so she was so grateful for how nice he was when he was at work. She made him plate of brownies, and she put marijuana in the brownies. And so when she left for the day, and then he went out with his girlfriend and his father and mother that evening because he was engaged to be married. And they came back to his house, and they had those brownies, and all of them were getting high. It was funny as hell seeing these middle-aged people and the older folks getting high off of these pot brownies. They were called I Love You, Alice B. Toklas brownies. I highly recommend that film.
There was an episode of Sanford and Son. I don't know if it was Julio or if it was Rollo who came over. It was one of Big Dummy's friends. He came over, had some pot, and it ended up getting mixed up in the salad, and they had this dinner. So it's Fred and Lamont and Aunt Esther's over there, and they all eat the salad. They all get fucked up. It's one of the best episodes of TV ever. But yeah, but it was like very controversial because marijuana, bad disease. And they put it, I don't know how it got the salad, but they're all eating the salad and they're all getting fucked up. So anytime when you see squares and normies get accidentally stoned like that, it's just beautiful. It warms your heart, if you have one.
Yeah. Until they start having a panic attack. Then you gotta make sure they're eating.
Geez, Braggland with Willie Bragg and Debbie Downer. Hey, listen, everybody knows it's not for everybody, but still, just have some.
You gotta be the realist. I just gotta be the realist over here. Yes, weed is fun, but
you know what you are? You're that
people...
teeny tiny lettering at the bottom of the screen. Side effects may include nightmares, time travel.
Right?
Man, I'm just trying to get my fun on, and you over here playing Dr. Clinic. Ain't nobody got time for that shit.
That's right. That's right. You never know. You never know. I've had some people, like have some bad experiences on it. So, you just gotta take it easy with certain people. But yes, it's fun.
The worst thing it's ever done to me is made me sleepy really quick. That's about the worst thing it's ever done for me.
When I first started like smoking, before there's like this point you come to where you can just start smoking normally, where you get past all the weird stuff that happens. And I used to call it the rubber band effect, where I would be talking or listening to somebody and then completely forget everything from before, which I still do now. I've just been able, I'm more comfortable and can control it a lot better and stuff. But before that point, the whole rubber band effect, as I called it, used to scare the crap out of me. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah. Well, and there's plenty of potent strains these days too. When I was coming up in the dirty South, you really only had like the brick shit, and it had just a certain level of THC in there. So, you would have to smoke a lot of that stuff to just like pass out. And then fast forward to today, where you see them you see people in these white lab coats with the Erlenmeyer flasks, and it's just like, yes, and they're just like building the perfect marijuana. I'm like, Jesus, man, we don't need to go to the fucking Mars on this shit. I just want to get, I got some aches and pains I want to get rid of, a little anxiety, I just want to have a little fun, I don't want to be like, woo, what the fuck, that's what acid's for.
Right. You don't want to go flying in outer space.
I'm still looking for today when I can bake me some cannabis lasagna. That's what I'm looking forward to. Yeah,
that'll be interesting.
And when I do, I might do a live stream.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'll have my lasagna. I'll have my bottle of wine with me, and I'm like, folks, I'm getting kind of gonna get baked tonight, and got some cops that live next door to me. They don't have to know.
That's right. That's right.
They're probably smoking themselves. I tell you, when I lived in North Mississippi back in the 90s, when cops pulled you over and if you had pot on you, they didn't write you up or take you to jail. They just took the pot. They took all your pot, sent you on your merry way, and they either smoked it themselves or they sold it, because that's what those shitty cops did. That's the truth. You do have I wanted to say though, you do have a pretty good Dirty South contingent here with you yourself, Willie, representing South Carolina, me from the Magnolia State in, North Carolina. Yeah, fuck South Carolina. And Miss Ellen Jemerson in the chat from Alabama, I believe. Yes. So I've been in Alabama many times. Ellen's a sweetheart. I met Ellen in the Due Dissidence chat. That's in there, and she was very nice to me. She fed me and took me in when it was raining, and I'll never forget her for that. She turned me into the person that you see today. So thank you, Ellen.
Oh, don't forget, you also have Rick too. Rick is from the deep South,
down in Texas.
That's not South though. That's like Southwest. That's like West. That's like cowboy country. I'm talking about country. Technically, it's south of here, sure, but when you think of the South, you don't think of Texas. You think of like, you don't think of like, you don't think of that shit.
No, like as in hell, as in he's from hell.
Oh, he's in the deepest South.
Deepest
South. Yeah. That's what Papa Hirsch said.
Yeah, he's over there.
He also said earlier that it smells an awful lot like honky in here. And you know what?
There's just a bunch of white people up in this bitch right now.
I'm a little congested right now, but I do smell mayonnaise and potato salad, and I do believe
Ketchup.
someone has Amway. Yes, someone has some. Someone's watching all my children. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, please. I was distracted by the bats over here. These bats.
I know, they keep distracting me too. I love them. I love bats. I love Halloween.
That's a great effect. I like the bat effects. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been waiting to see for it glitch because it's like on a 1-minute loop. So I'm like waiting, but I haven't seen it yet. So I'm pretty proud that it I was like waiting for that glitch. Wait, was that just it? I might have just seen it. I don't know. I've been waiting to see the glitch of the loop. So
well, StreamYards has come a long way.
Definitely has. Very proud of it.
Yeah.
Just Texas, we're our own thing.
Yeah,
Wonder
Texas.
Bread and mayonnaise, it's what won the war.
It was.
That's right. All right, you want to get started?
Yeah, I think we should get started. I guess probably the first story, right?
Yeah, let's just get it going. Let me get it presented. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about it. Yeah, Donald Trump calls out Benjamin Netanyahu. He let us down. GOP elites flip out, and this is on Rising. And I just thought it was interesting.
All right.
Gotten himself into hot water with the GOP? Well, in a speech this week, the former president criticized Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the wake of the Hamas attacks in Israel. Trump accused Netanyahu of letting us down in 2020 before the United States killed a top Iranian general Qasem Soleimani.
Trump also said yesterday that Israel, quote, wouldn't have had to be prepared, end quote, if he were in the White House, and also referred to Israel's defense minister as a, quote, jerk.
You know, Hezbollah is very smart. They're all very smart. The press doesn't like when they say it. You know, I said that President Xi of China, 1.4 billion people, he controls it with an iron fist. I said, he's a very smart man. They killed me the next day. I said he was smart. What am I going to say? But Hezbollah, they're very smart. And they have a national defense minister or somebody saying, I hope Hezbollah doesn't attack us from the north. So the following morning they attacked. They might not have been doing it, but if you listen to this jerk, you would attack from the north because he said that's our weak spot. I'll never forget that Bibi Netanyahu let us down. That was a very terrible thing. I will say that. And so when I see sometimes the intelligence, you talk about the intelligence or you talk about some of the things that went wrong over the last week, they've got to straighten it out because they're fighting potentially a very big force. They're fighting potentially Iran. And when they have people saying the wrong things, everything they say is being digested by these people because they're vicious and they're smart. And boy, are they vicious because nobody's ever seen the kind of sight that we've seen.
According to Hill reporting, the comments have already opened up Trump to criticism from the right, including 2024 GOP candidate Ron DeSantis, who wrote on X this week, terrorists have murdered at least 1,200 Israelis and 22 Americans and are holding more hostage. So it is absurd that anyone, much less someone running for president, would choose now to attack our friend and ally Israel, much less praise Hezbollah terrorists as, quote, very smart. As president, I will stand with Israel and treat terrorists like the scum that they are. Here with us to discuss is political reporter at The Hill, Julia Manchester. Thanks for being with us, Julia.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
So Trump tends to word salad on issues such as this with little sprinklings of current events and what's going on. I think possibly his supporters don't understand the issue from what he said there. What do you make of Trump's comments as a whole?
Yeah, so some Republicans I talked to said, look, it wasn't the best choice of words and point to how he's called other, controversial figures, dangerous figures or adversaries to the United States smart, like Vladimir Putin, for example. But they also point out that he says they're smart and that they're not stupid. They're cunning. They know what they're doing. And a group like Hezbollah understands that. And he understands that a group like Hezbollah is a threat. At the same time, though, it does open it up to criticism from his critics because of the timing of all of this. This was not even a week after those horrific terror attacks in Israel. And then, of course, in the same breath, he did criticize Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and, sort of said, if I were president of the United States right now, this wouldn't have happened. So, I think there's some, questions as to whether this was the best timing, but I don't think at this point anyone thinks, Donald Trump is actually praising Hezbollah. It was just a bad choice of words, bad timing. And then another actually viewpoint I've heard on this is that, Trump maybe even looking at this from a strategic lens and trying to appeal to more moderate voters in the United States who may look at a leader like Benjamin Netanyahu, who is quite conservative and not popular with liberals in Israel and the United States and around the world, and see it as Trump sort of trying to appeal to those moderate voters, but still really getting a lot of attention and backlash from his Republican opponents.
Julia, I want to unpack something that the former president stated in his remarks. He stated that Benjamin Netanyahu, quote, let us down. What exactly was he talking about?
Well, sure, Michael, he's referring to how, back in 2020, when the United States was launching an attack to kill the Iranian general or top Iranian general, Qasem Soleimani, that Israel did not participate. There might also be some more baggage underneath some of the Trump's venting towards Netanyahu, though he didn't reference this. Remember, Trump has also criticized Netanyahu for congratulating President Joe Biden for winning the 2020 presidential election. So this isn't the first time he's criticized the Israeli prime minister, but it is notable because there are so many similarities between Trump and Netanyahu, and they do have very close ties. Trump worked very closely with Netanyahu to establish the Abraham Accords, which essentially worked to normalize relations between the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Israel. So they've had a relationship before, but this is Trump once again, lashing out at him.
So Trump has a tendency, I mentioned earlier, sprinklings of truth. To mention Iran in this case is to bring in a lot of the rhetoric we've been hearing, a lot of conspiracy theories on the right, that the money given to Iran to release hostages was used in the attack of Hamas in Gaza. And clearly, we've heard from Anthony Blinken on this, we've heard from the White House on this, that Qatar actually, as a part of the deal, holds the strings to these funds and has agreed to block Iran from accessing these funds, and they were not used. What do you make of Trump just mentioning Iran at all? Is he trying to speak to some of those sentiments and anxieties?
I think he is. And we do know that Trump has hit Biden on the issue of Iran even before Biden was president, going back to the Obama administration, with that administration's work to establish the Iran nuclear deal with Tehran. So that's not necessarily surprising to me that he's going after Iran at this point. It's been sort of an attacking point for the former president, and I would expect him to continue to voice concerns and attacks on the administration about the $6 billion, even though there's no evidence that it was used in these terror attacks and that it's still frozen. You are seeing Democrats, have to continue to go vocally on the defense about it, because it is something that Republicans and conservatives and are very much, promoting and messaging. You're even seeing some Democrats say, it's maybe time to, back away from that money and keep it frozen for the time being. So it's an attack point that I think we'll expect to see from Trump and other Republicans, despite the fact you've heard so many Democrats pushing back on it.
Julia, I want to ask you a two-part question here. I mean, Trump made the statements when he was attacking the military official in Israel that it just doesn't make sense to say, don't attack us in the north because that's where we're weaker. And then you get an attack from the north. And for the layperson, the average voter, they may look at that and say, well, Trump actually has a pretty good point. Why state or articulate your strategic weaknesses it publicly on air to then give your adversary the opportunity to attack you where you're weak. And then two, do you think this is actually going to impact Trump in politically in any regard? I don't know if you're reporting, if you've had the opportunity to talk to Republican voters, but how do they see this?
Yeah, look, on the strategic part of this, the first part of your question, look, that's absolutely what Trump was doing, and sort of, offering some criticism to how Israel handled that and their response to that. I think what garnered a lot of attention from those comments, though, is when he called the Israeli defense minister a jerk. So there might have been some constructive criticism in there, but there was that phrasing, that name calling in there as well, that raised a lot of eyebrows. In terms of how this impacts Trump politically, look, of course, we're going to see Mike Pence, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis go after him on this. It's very easy to. It's easy for the Biden administration, the president, to go after him on this as well, because, it arguably was not the best timing, not the best choice of words. That being said, though, going forward, I don't think this will particularly impact him with Republican primary voters. Right before I was chatting with you guys, I was looking at a Fox News poll that was released earlier this week, and it shows Trump with 59% of support from the Republican primary, followed by Ron DeSantis at 13% and Nikki Haley at 10%. He really seems at this point, and a lot can change, so I'm not going to say this is a set in stone, but it really seems at this point that he is very close to sort of locking the nomination in at this point. So it's hard to see how this impacts him, especially when we know that voters don't tend to vote on foreign policy. However, if foreign policy starts impacting the economy or domestic issues here, that could potentially change.
I think you make it a good point here to focus on the language. Trump might call the defense minister a jerk, but someone with a background in foreign policy might say, we're really critical of his actions. And Trump might call Hezbollah smart. Someone else might say they've been very strategic in the region. The sentiment, I think, to most voters is the same. But thank you so much for joining us. We have more Rising right after.
All right. What do you got to say about that, Mr. Willie?
Well, one, for the Republican base, for Trump to attack Benjamin Netanyahu, they're going to be perplexed, because it's like they love Trump, but they also love Benjamin Netanyahu, and they can't decide whether to be mad at Trump or not. And because the religious right loves Trump. I don't know why they love Trump, but for some reason, the evangelicals love Trump, but they love Benjamin Netanyahu too. So there's that. And then, but the fact is that to make a long story short, I just think that between the two, I'm going to just say that Benjamin Netanyahu is a bigger asshole. So, I don't mind him going after Benjamin Netanyahu. He's got my blessing there, whatever reason he has.
All right. I don't care what anything that Trump has to say. I really don't. I want to count how many times he sniffles his nose in between each sentence, proving that he probably snorted some coke before he came on stage. That's what I'm more interested in.
Or Adderall. Yeah, one of these two.
Right.
No, Biden does Adderall, and Trump does coke. That was probably Trump's coke in the library. They just didn't find it until now.
That's right.
Wow.
That's fucking right. That's right. I fucking hate Trump. I don't know why people even give him like the time of day and like sit there and nitpick at each one of his words and stuff like that. I really hate how people do that. There's like so many things going on in the world, and we just spent like the news just decided to spend 10 minutes on talking about what Trump said. It's wild.
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, he's developed and cemented that cult around him. Mm-hmm. So those people, just like the duopoly cultists, they're
somebody's angry out there.
It's New York. Everybody honks.
Everybody's.
I'm doing a show here.
I've never seen that in real life. I've only seen that in TV shows.
I bet your pussy's dry.
Oh, no.
I've only seen that in shows. That was awesome.
Yeah, I'd only seen it in shows before that too, but apparently that's what you got to do. I read the handbook when I got here. It says
You just
somebody
said
honks their horn. If someone's honking their horn outside your apartment for no apparent reason, just to be an asshole, you have the right to say to comment on the moisture levels of their genitalia. So anyway, it's not my rule.
I love
that
it.
was I think that was a Giuliani thing. I don't know.
I'm here for it. Oh, that was good.
Boss approves. All
Boss
right.
approves. Yes,
We're
boss
here
absolutely. Boss absolutely approved. He said you made the list.
I made the list. Yeah.
How to make new friends with Warren.
Yeah, that's a whole series on the Travel Channel. If you're into traveling to New York and you really want to getting good with the locals, come by here. We'll show you how to yell at people the right way.
That's right.
But you can't yell at people and hurt their feelings. Sometimes these people will just be like, "Hey, it's a bit much." So you got to be, you got to watch it. You can call somebody a fuck face. Just don't call them a motherfucker. Because they may not take it the right way.
I was doing plenty of yelling when I was driving around in circles in New York City for 5 hours trying to get on 95. And that was before I had a GPS mobile. I mean, just trying to get on the turnpike was a chore in itself.
Yeah, I would. There's no way in hell I would ever drive in this town and keep my sanity. There's just no way. It's just I've seen the delivery guys on the e-bikes, one-way street. No, that's a two-way street for those guys. And so you got to watch out, and the cab drivers, and then the people from New Jersey who come to this city and drive their cars and don't know how to fucking drive New Jersey. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I don't like.
Damn, East Coasters are wild. You guys are crazy.
This
So much pent up
man.
energy. I don't understand it.
There's liquid crack in here, so I can cope.
I know it's like in your guys' water system in the East Coast. Like y'all need to take a chill pill.
Delicious
chill.
Coke. Look, I'm chill. Look, I'm in my house, man. That's the motherfucker out there. And I'm like, what the fuck you honking at, dude?
Actually,
look, Hirsch, we might not be rational, all right, but at least we know how to fucking chill.
Actually, it took me a while to chill before I got to Connecticut. I had to pay the last toll, and the lady at the toll booth was extremely rude to me for no reason. And I looked at her. I said, you need to adjust your attitude. And she told me, shut up. I told her, fuck you. I drove off. And once I was in Connecticut, I felt better. I mean, I was just like, but I was just kind of like, oh,
the reason why she's such an abrasive person is because she lives and works in Connecticut. Okay, so like hell, like Rick knows about hell below. People in Connecticut know what a shithole state Connecticut is. All right,
for real.
In Hartford, that's the corner of ouch and get shot. Okay, Connecticut's a shithole country. I'm just saying.
I got family in Connecticut.
All right. Western Connecticut, it's kind of nice.
Okay,
on the New York line. The Western Connecticut is nice. Once you get eastern, like you get towards like the Yankee town, it's the country people who are nice. They're very nice, very pretty.
My family's in Groton and New London area.
Oh, okay. I see. I only know about Kent. I've been to Kent, Connecticut. That's on the western side. I've been to a summer, an adult summer camp there a couple of times, which is basically like a regular summer camp with booze and you bring marijuana. It's just one of those kind of things. But it was like in a valley, had very nice, lush hills and kind of mini mountains, lake and stuff. It's very, very nice. I like that part. I've never been to the other part of Connecticut, but I know people that live in other parts of Connecticut, and they have death wishes. I'm just saying they won't do it themselves. They won't self-delete, but they like to hang around dangerous people. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah.
So she's a product of Western Connecticut. That's probably why she had an attitude. Okay.
That's probably what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Or she just doesn't like North Carolina people. That could be too. I love North Carolina people.
That could be
you guys gave us Andy Griffith. I mean, and Titty Mountain.
Oh, of course. I remember Titty Mountain.
Who could forget? It's the breast mountain in North Carolina.
God. Oh my God,
Jimmy, it's the breast because it's.
Sure.
Well,
sure.
Tell the catfish.
That's what it looks when you're.
I know.
When you're driving, that's what it looks like.
My beep.
That's meow. Hello, opinionated cat.
Meow meow. And let me tell you another thing. Meow 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 meow. The price of kitty litter is outrageous.
That's right.
Meow.
That's right. Okay, you guys ready for the next one?
Yeah.
This show's gonna be 4 hours long.
No way. All right. We're going to cut this in half, though, mister. And we got to talk kind of in between stuff, or else they're going to catch us for like copyright. All right. Let's do this.
I'm just a stowaway.
You're a stowaway.
I'm a stowaway.
That's right. Okay. So this is The Amazing Atheist talking about Alice Cooper being an old transphobe.
Rock legend Alice Cooper is facing fierce backlash after branding transgenderism as a fad. The comment was made during a recent interview where he pushed back against woke ideology and gender-affirming care for minors. And as a result, he is out of a deal. Vampire Cosmetics has decided to cut ties with the rocker now and issued a statement to the LGBTQ community. He now joins other music legends, including guitarist Carlos Santana, who previously came under fire for remarks about transgenderism.
I really don't think that, 70-something-year-old man doesn't like trans people should be much of a headline. Because at the end of the day, whatever Alice Cooper has accomplished in his life is, I don't know how old he is, 75, 76 years old. And he's been a Christian for most of his career. What are the odds that Alice Cooper actually understands the intricacies of that social issue? Probably about zero. Alice Cooper has been a right-wing fundamentalist Christian for the majority of his career. He's been a right-wing fundamentalist Christian. I think he became one in the late 70s because he went to a church and he heard a hellfire and brimstone sermon from some random preacher talking about how anybody who does these sinful things and whatever is going to go to hell for all time. And Alice Cooper got scared of the hellfire and brimstone sermon and had a come to Jesus moment. And he started attending that church regularly. And he went to that preacher and he was like, should I stop being Alice Cooper? And of course, the preacher probably does not believe in God himself, probably an atheist, as most of them are. And probably just thought to himself, like, this guy's making money as Alice Cooper. And if he's coming to this church, that money's going to come to me. So, of course, the preacher said, no. You can keep doing that crazy rock and roll stuff. Just be sure to give me the money. And ever since then, Alice Cooper's been a right-wing Christian guy. Even as he, goes on and does his little crazy stage show where he's decapitating mannequins and singing his crazy songs and all this and that. And, putting on the Alice Cooper persona. And, I don't really care about that too much. Alice Cooper's music to me is kind of, I like it, but to me, it's like superficial. It's like just superficial, spooky music. I don't think there's any deeper meaning to most of it. So I don't really feel like he has much ideology in his songs. Most of them are just about, pretty like basic sort of topics and themes. of crazy monsters and my girl broke up with me and this and that. So those are the kind of songs that Alice Cooper generally puts out. So I've never really cared too much that he's a fundamentalist Christian.
Same.
But usually he doesn't come out and put these sort of regressive social opinions out there. But on this issue, for some reason, he's decided to come out and be like, I don't like trans people. I think that this trans thing is a fad. Well,
why are we even giving this guy breath too? Like, who cares what Alice Cooper says? I'm pretty sure that 99.999% of anyone under the age of 40 doesn't give a fuck about Alice Cooper. I'm pretty sure 99.5% of the people don't even know who Alice Cooper is.
Yeah, I was about to say, if they even know who he is at all.
Yeah, like
definitely.
Why is anyone even making this such a big deal? Like, who cares?
Yeah,
it's like Ted Nugent too. Who gives a shit what Ted Nugent has to say too? He just, him, James Woods too. He goes off the handle on Twitter. Sometimes you're like, who cares? You got nobody gives a shit what you have to say anyway, and much less they don't watch anything or listen to anything you do anymore. So, it's just them. They probably their agents say you should speak up, so so you can stay relevant. It's probably the agent pushing these old fuckers to do it. These old guys are probably like
a majority of them are doing it like that. There's been people that are influencers themselves that are coming out saying that their agents are telling them to go out and do these PR stunts on the side of on the side of Israel right now to make themselves relevant and bring themselves on. The influencers are even screenshotting the emails from their agents with what to say about supporting Israel on their social media platforms right now. So yeah, it's just, yeah, exactly. He's only doing it because his agent wants him to stay relevant. But what Alice Cooper is hopefully going to be getting is a nice little realization that nobody really gives a fuck about him. So.
Yeah, I don't really think about Alice Cooper on a day-to-day basis at all. But I do find it ironic that he would be anti-trans considering all the makeup he wears and everything that, he's not trans or trans adjacent, but what I'm saying that, that I don't know. You would think that I don't know. I just would think that
he has an idea what it's a glimmer. He shouldn't be foreign to trans issues. I mean, at least not in Hollywood anyway. At least he should be surrounded by friends that are at least
if there's anybody in the rock world that should be more open to trans people, it should be him. He has been drag queening for the last 40 fucking years, and he's gonna sit there and say he doesn't like trans people. Bro, you're like a drag queen. You do not realize that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Make it make sense.
Pretty much what I was trying to say. Yeah. I don't care if he's a Republican, but I figured he was a Republican because he wanted to keep his taxes low. I didn't think he was socially regressive or that sort of thing. And now Ted Nugent, he's ideologically just an asshole all the way through, and I expect no better out of Ted Nugent because every time I hear Ted Nugent talk, I mean, I don't even have, it's not what I listen to per se, but I don't have anything personal against him musically. It's just when he opens his mouth, I'm just like, I just want to tell Ted Nugent to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I mean, they're not trying, if they were trying to be productive and bring some sort of intelligence and ideas to the conversation. Yeah, but these guys are all just shit talkers, just trying, like I said, they're just trying to stay relevant. And I'm pretty sure a lot of these people, it's their agents pushing them, say, hey, maybe we can make a few bucks off this, say something, get some controversy going, maybe somebody will buy a few records or something like that. I mean, in this day and age, I wouldn't be surprised if the bottom line is some make a little cash off of saying some bonkers shit when you're in your 70s and you ain't got nothing else going on.
True. Speaking of Taylor Swift, whatever her name is, there is a right-wing commentator, activist named Bridget Gabriel. I don't know if you ever heard of her. She's one of those typical Fox News style, talking heads that just makes these outrageous right-wing commentaries all the time. And she's always on my Twitter feed, even though I don't follow her at all, telling everybody how we should just worship Trump, every day. And she's like always telling Taylor Swift that she should go around and denounce Hamas and lick Israel's asshole 24/7. And I'm just like, it's like, who are you to tell somebody what opinions they should have or what have you, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or who they should date, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's stupid. There's some people out there doing funny stuff too, because they're like, what are they saying, that the Kansas City this is the most tickets ever sold in the history of tickets of selling Kansas City, and somebody retweeted and was like, can Taylor Swift please start dating a librarian? The motherfuckers will start reading.
I know, right? Can she become a teacher, get people back in school?
Right.
But that's where we live. That's how we are in 2023, man. People don't give a fuck. But Chiefs, what? Everybody pays attention to Kansas City Chiefs because Taylor Swift. That's just focus. That's what
I try not to do is try to take what an actor, actress, or singer has to say politically. I try not to pay any attention to what they have to say,
Yeah. Because we have to remember they're not living lives like we are. That's actually me. I'm the one that's got the
did my ambulance go to your? That's a long way. Those ambulances are very fast.
Yeah. He's here now. Interesting.
Look, yell out the window. Tell him to shut the fuck up.
All right, shut the fuck up. There you go. Didn't listen. I forgot what I was gonna say anyway.
I'm sorry.
Politics and entertainment, I believe, something like that.
Oh yeah, that's right. So, wait. All I'm gonna say is I would never listen to what any kind of celebrity would have to say about politics anyway, because they don't live the same kind of life that we do. Every day that they live is very busy. They're either promoting, doing stuff. They're working every day, all day long. They don't get that all sides of information to come to their own conclusion thing. They just whatever they hear on the news really quick while running out their door from their PR, from the people that are around them. That's all they get. So us as regular people shouldn't be jumping on the bandwagon and listening to what any kind of celebrity or artist or famous person has to say anyway, because that's not their life. That's knowing that stuff isn't their world. Their world is, doing what you love as a career, and then also be doing what you're told. We, as normal people, get to sit here and watch these videos every day and listen to it and see all the stuff that's going on, to where we get to have our own kind of opinions to where, so like I said, from the beginning, I would just never listen to a celebrity because they don't really know what's going on anyway. They really don't.
No,
even good ones. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, and they're kept out of touch on purpose by the people that their entourage of people that they're surrounded by. They're not taken to these places. They don't live in poor areas. They don't see the strife and stuff that's going on there. They're shown what they're told to be shown, and by their agents or their talent agency or whoever runs the show for their lives, because these people don't run their own lives. It's all these people run their lives, just like the president. He's not running shit. All the people around him is running shit. That's how things have been.
Yep, I completely agree. Next one. We ready for the next one?
Ready.
All right. So this one is not about NATO, never about NATO, nothing to do with NATO. The Ukraine war with Matt Orfilia.
Yep.
Putin actually sent a draft.
We'll start it over.
President Putin actually sent a draft treaty that they wanted NATO to sign to promise no more NATO enlargement. That was what he sent us. And that was a precondition for not invade Ukraine. Of course, we didn't sign that. So he went to war to prevent NATO, more NATO close to his borders.
Flashback.
This is fundamentally not about NATO expansion.
It was never about NATO enlargement.
It's not about NATO.
It's not about NATO expanding toward Russia.
This was never about NATO.
It's absolutely nothing to do with NATO expansionism.
And it has nothing to do with NATO.
This is not about NATO.
It's not about NATO.
It's not really NATO.
This is not about NATO.
Seriously, it's not about NATO.
This was never about NATO.
It was never about NATO. Let's be honest.
This doesn't have anything to do with NATO.
Nothing to do with NATO at all.
Yeah, he's claiming it's like security purposes, but we can see the clear reason.
But NATO is not the reason.
This is not about NATO expansion. This is about the democratic expansion.
Ukraine bans religious organizations.
We are protecting democracy right now.
Ukraine is banning political parties.
Because it's a democracy.
Ukraine restricts books and music.
It's about democracy.
Ukraine won't hold elections.
It's about democracy.
And it's not about NATO expansion.
This war in Ukraine is not about NATO.
It's not about NATO.
That's not about NATO.
It has nothing to do with NATO.
Nothing to do with NATO expansion.
It's not about NATO expansion.
Nothing to do with NATO.
It isn't really about NATO.
It's not about NATO.
It's not about NATO enlargement. In fact, it has nothing to do with NATO.
It's not about NATO encroaching.
It's not about NATO. NATO is just a fictitious, imaginary adversary for Mr. Putin and for Russia.
It was never about NATO. That's not what it's been about. It's been about him trying to expand his sphere of influence.
Hang on. I mean, the two are not mutually exclusive. Obviously, Russia has wished for a sphere of influence over Ukraine. But if the West had not challenged Russian interests so directly, I think that there was a chance to avoid this war.
He wanted us to sign a promise never to enlarge NATO. We rejected that.
The reason why Putin invaded Ukraine is because of his evil.
It's about that Putin wants to rebuild Soviet empire of evil, like President Reagan told.
It's about Putin being sick.
I don't know how you negotiate peace with a madman, but
Nobody negotiated with Hitler.
People are comparing him to Hitler.
And remember Hitler.
he's a Hitler.
We're back when the Nazis invaded Poland.
This is exactly the same what Hitler was doing to Jews.
This is the same. Putin will not stop.
Putin is reminiscent of Hitler.
Hitler.
This reminds me of Hitler. Hitler.
He's the new Hitler.
Oh, Hitler.
This is about a butcher trying to kill people everywhere in the world, just not Ukraine, Syria, all over the place.
I hear you. Senator Lindsey Graham, always great to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, straight ahead.
Damn, good job, dude.
Yeah. Well, I want to say anything that Lindsey Graham advocates or embrace, I have to tell people embrace the opposite position. I mean, he's just one of the most awful human beings that has an elected position in this country right now. Two, it broke my damn heart to see Sweden and Finland join NATO. I guess it was earlier this year. And three, whatever we may think of Putin, he's not Hitler. He not even close.
Right.
And it just, what it just makes me so mad how people get everything wrong, and Eric, and people really do believe that Ukraine is this embattled victim little liberal democracy, and it's not bothering anybody. And it's not that I want Russia to invade, but the Ukraine is not this little embattled, struggling liberal democracy. It's the most corrupt country in Europe. It has a right-wing problem internally. I like a super authoritarian right-wing problem internally. And she say these things, you got people who are otherwise going to be on our side saying that we're secret right-wingers, and that's just not the case, and it just baffles me.
Mm-hmm. I really enjoy how Matt Orfilia did it. It's especially he's around my age, so like we grew up right during like the 9/11 and stuff, and a lot of words were repeated kind of to brainwash us into going into like, Iraq, Iraq war, Iran war, or terrorism. And, all these words just kept getting repeated over and over and over again. And it kind of, after it repeats, you hear it multiple times, it starts to kind of sink in your head like, okay, this is, an excuse and the reason why. And so growing up like that, that's something that I personally have really enjoyed doing, is when I watch the news, I try to hear those buzzwords, those little keywords, and then try to see how many times other ones repeat it to see what is the manipulative talking points that the media and the government is using to get us to join in on whatever they're wanting us to do. And Matt did a really, really, obviously a really good job with that. In this day and age, showing that it's still actually happening. Like, not only did it happen with George W. Bush, but it's actually now still happening today as we speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, what's going on right now is that, and they've been doing this for quite some time with Russia, basically ever since the end of World War II, trying to weaken it, trying to break it down to the point where Western interests can manipulate it, just like they manipulate any other country over there for resources and and for whatever interest the United States and the West would have with that. But Putin's is he an angel? No, he's ex-KGB, so he's probably done some nefarious things. What he's doing now, who knows what's going on behind the scenes. But I mean, he is correct in going into the Donbass and helping those people, especially when they reneged on the deal back in 2014, which would have stopped this whole invasion in the first place. But now Putin can't trust the West, and the West is spitting nothing but propaganda out. Basically, all you have to do is just assume everybody's lying, and if you do get that little nugget of truth every once in a while, be grateful you got that. But they're trying to get Russia. That's basically the end goal, is to get Russia at some point.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I briefly ran across Matt Orfella at the Rage Against the War Machine. And I realized that after the fact. After the rally, they had a CPI event, and there was a bunch of people speaking, and I met Pasta at the event, Craig Pasta Jardula at that event over there, and some other folks. But I met what's his name, Scott Ritter. I met him. I met a few other folks. So that was out there. But I think I do remember seeing him, passing by him, now that I remember it. And I was like, he looks familiar. And after the fact, I was like, I think that was Matt Orfella. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, he did a really good job. I'm really proud of him, especially with the whole spreading democracy thing. I think that's something that a term we've been using for a really long time. I think it used to be liberating. Now we changed it to spreading democracy. So, anytime we try to tear down a country and rebuild it however we see fit, we call it spreading democracy or liberating them. So I really enjoyed him doing that. I haven't seen that yet, and I'm proud that there's somebody out there that is still actually doing that and showing us that they're still using those little keywords to kind of brainwash us into going into what they want us to go into.
Yeah, I just don't really see the U.S. doing anything to promote democracy, though. That's the thing right there. I don't see any evidence of it. It's a nice little buzz phrase that they use. We're out there to promote democracy.
Yeah. But they never say what democracy, they never define what their version of democracy is. They just put it out there, and you just assume the definition, what you think it is. And you think, well, that's not what they're doing. No, this is imperialism. This is not democracy. We're going in and changing governments that'll be friendly to us. And we don't have to conquer land. We just have to conquer governments, and that's it. Just brainwash them or pay them off or whatever to get them to side with this. That's what they've been doing. But now you're starting to see that all flip with BRICS and with like Russia and China, possibly aligning, and you have this big other economic, group of countries, the bipolar world. I mean, the unipolar world may be gone, and, we may have the multipolar world sooner than we think.
Mm-hmm. I hope that, I mean, we'll see if that continues, because I remember last year the multipolar thing was a huge buzzword that everybody was talking about, and it's all but disappeared now. Nobody really talks about it anymore.
Well, I think the thing is, there was just kind of like the initial shock of all these countries actually standing up and defying the United States, and now it's the boring process of actually coming together. And there's still probably a lot of diplomacy that has to be taken into, and a lot of backroom talks and stuff like that amongst countries and their people. So this is not an overnight thing that's gonna automatically rival the United States, but I think the fact that it's actually on a solid foundation, and that it could possibly threaten the United States sooner than they imagine, or the Western factions, I should say. That's the scary part to the West. It's like, how fast is BRICS and these countries going to rise?
Right. Yeah, we'll see. You ready for the next one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So this one is titled Treasure. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're going to be really mad. So our Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, she's the lady whose name is on any of the newest bills that have been printed recently, says that we have plenty of money for wars. So the lady who is in charge of, how our money, or where our money goes when it is made, when the bills get passed, to say, these wars right now, like we're having, gets $40 billion, which I think Biden just recently said $40 billion, right, for the Israel war, Ukraine, and I think it's for the border wall as well. It was a threefer. This lady is the lady who is in charge of it. She is the one that says, okay, this money is getting allocated to these things. So here's the lady in charge of our money being asked about, wait, where is the interview? Is it in here, or is it just this guy talking throughout the whole
commenting
thing?
on it. He comments on it all the way through. It's a short video, but he's commenting on it.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen assured the world that the United States has plenty of money. She says we certainly have enough money for another war. Here's her statement. America can certainly afford to stand with Israel and to support Israel's military needs, and we also can and must support Ukraine in its struggle against Russia. America has also made clear to Israel we're working very closely with the Israelis that they have a right to defend themselves. But it's important to try to spare innocent civilian lives to the maximum extent possible. So Janet Yellen, finance lady out there talking foreign policy, like, oh, don't worry, I'm in charge of the money. We got plenty of money for war. And, we've kind of told them, hey, if you don't have to kill civilians, try not to. But this isn't about the war. This is about the audacity of that statement, which might be one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard. We certainly have money to fund 2 different wars right now. Now, this is not about the attacks from Hamas against Israel. This is not about Israel's collective punishment of Palestinians. I'm not wading into that in this segment. This is about the United States. There's always money for war. Doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter where it is. The war machine always has enough cash to keep it going, no matter what. Now, we ask for things like universal health care because medical debt is the #1 cause of bankruptcy here in the United States. Tens of millions of Americans, I think actually well over 100 million Americans, have medical debt of some sort. I have medical debt right now. But we can't afford universal health care. We can't afford debt-free college. We can't afford student loan debt forgiveness. We don't have the money for it, they tell us every time we bring it up. A Green New Deal, we can't afford to take action on climate change. and create a better life and prevent thousands of premature deaths each year, which is what those investments would do. No. We can't spend money to save lives, but we can spend money to kill people overseas. We've always got money for planes and tanks and bombs and drones and guns and bullets and everything. But no, you cannot have universal health care. It's not in the budget. We don't have it. No, we can't protect the environment. 11.5% of the American public, over 39 million people, live at or below the poverty line here in the United States. 11.5% of the population. Student lunch debt is a thing in America. And we are constantly told that no, we can't afford to give kids free lunches. We got to spend that money on new F-15 fighter jets because our buddies over here need them. Ignore the human rights abuses of the people we're selling weapons to, whether it's in Israel or Saudi Arabia or wherever. We don't care about their histories of doing those things. We just want the money because we love money and we have lots of money to do these things. But I'm sorry, American citizens, we don't have money to take care of you. We don't have money to ensure that you have a habitable country 20 years from now. But when it comes to the war machine, we'll always find a way to fund it. Ring of Fire.
Okay, well, he just pretty much said everything that I could have said, so now I don't need to really say anything. But here's the video of Janet Yellen actually saying it herself instead of listening to some random dude say it.
What this all means. Paul Tudor-Jones, the famed investor, was on CNBC this week, and he said, "This is the most threatening and challenging geopolitical environment that I've ever seen. At the same time, the US is in its weakest fiscal position since World War II, with debt to GDP at 122%. Can America, can the West afford another war at this time?"
I think the answer is absolutely. America can certainly afford to stand with Israel and to support Israel's military needs. And we also can and must support Ukraine in its struggle against Russia. And look, the American economy is doing extremely well.
What this all means.
Yeah, that's her actual, like, instead of hearing some dude talk about it, it's pretty much saying anything that I was going to say. There's her in her own fucking words saying this shit. So, yes, of course, the lady who understands how our economy works, how money works, how taxes work, how the debt clock works. Of course, she's going to say we have enough money to do this for war because she knows that our debt isn't as big as it actually could be to where we really should be scared. And the fear of going into, bankruptcy and the debt clock and all this stuff is all just phony. And we can actually afford even a lot more than what she's even saying that could actually benefit us here in America. But she wants to sit here and say that, oh no, we got to have a whole bunch of more money because she knows. And then she says that our economy is doing great. Yeah, the economy is doing great for really, really, really rich people, the people that are in her bubble. And she knows that they could put out even more money, but not realizing that we're all out here struggling, pretending like there's a fear that we're all going to go into or the government's going to go into bankruptcy because of this debt clock, realizing that it can't go in bankrupt when it creates its own money. It's like you having a fully governed money making machine in your fucking living room and saying, oh, I can't keep printing more money because I'm afraid I'm going to go into debt. How? If you owe somebody $50, you go to your machine and you fucking print that shit and you give it to them. Done data. You're not going to go into debt. You're not going to go into bankruptcy. She knows this. So she's going to talk about this with wars. But when it comes to us actually getting something that benefits us, no, we can't. We need to look at that debt clock. We're going to go into debt. This is the game that they're playing with us. And she's saying it right here, full-fledged.
Yeah. When I think about all that money to fund these wars and basically to prop up Israel, we can't afford healthcare here. Israel, one of the things Israel's got going for them is they got universal healthcare. That's a good thing for them. let's have universal health care here. Oh no, we can't afford it, but we can afford to give health care, and we can afford to give money to them, and we can afford to give money to the Ukraine, which also has universal health care. I'm glad they have it, but we can't afford it here. I'm just trying to make that to make sense. No Medicare for all, no prescription drug reform. Not even Joe Biden is not even trying to improve Obamacare with a public option that he pretend to care about. No clean water, no high-speed rail, but we got money for war. It's crazy.
Yeah. What Tupac say? We got money for war, but not for the poor.
Tupac.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know what song it was, but I've heard that quote now, and I like.
I think that was
quote.
Rage Against the Machine, right? Yeah. Is it?
I'm more hip replacement than hip, so I'll defer to your memory on that. But yeah, I mean, anytime people say that we can't afford social programs, just play that chick on loop saying, "Oh yeah, we can afford 2 wars." Yeah. Because they could totally do it. And that's the thing. I think we talked about this on different shows before too.
Tupac. You're right. It is Tupac. Okay. Thank you, thank you, Rick.
See, I got street cred. Deuces. Anyway, so do you need a $900 billion military budget when you have 2 oceans on either side of your country and 2 very friendly countries with absolutely no way of attacking you and taking over your country to the north and south? I mean, seriously, do you need $900 billion? You do for black ops, for those things that you're not telling the people that you're paying for, all these dark projects and God knows how many secret bases they have around the country. That's why I tell people, it's like, you're not going to vote your way out of this shit. It don't matter who the president is. You have these career people in the 3-letter agencies who've been there for years, decades. They're ingrained into the system. You got to get those fuckers out before you're going to change anything. And then you got to get rid of those 3-letter agencies too, which are all just fucking fascist damn police monitors for us. You get them all out, get rid of those, retool how we do security in this country, because that shit, until you do that, nothing's going to change.
Yeah, we just passed a bill, I think, just this week or something, where it's for funding, where a little bit's going to go to the border wall for Mexico. A little bit's, I think it's going to be like $2 billion for Ukraine or something like that, 80 or 20 billion or something like that for Ukraine, 80 billion for Israel, and then it was like 200 million, like a tiny little amount for Palestinian aid. That's the most recent bill. We have money for that. And that's where it's all going to, like billions for Israel, billions for Ukraine, money for the border, but just a tiny, tiny little bit for the Palestinian aid.
Yeah, if they get it.
Yeah,
it's all depending on what did he say? Like, oh well, unless Hamas steals it. I'm like, dude, Israel created Hamas, all right? Yeah. That's a whole scam that's already been exposed, okay? So don't even try that. Oh, this bad guy. It's the same people. That's all the same fucking people. Just like over here, Democrats, Republicans. It's all the same goddamn people.
Yep.
We have to educate people on that, because people don't know. They think they're 2 separate things. It's like, no, they're all funded by the same people. It's all the same entities up here, and these are all just the puppet theater people down there. So
I've been to somebody recently when I told them that Hamas was created by the Israeli Mossad. That's not true. That's not true. They're going to be an expert. Why wouldn't it be true? These agencies, these covert agencies, whether it's MI5, MI6, or whether it's the CIA, whether it's the Mossad, or whether it's the KGB, they're capable of doing evil things. And they created and I was glad to see the Jimmy Dore show talk about this recently, where they talked about how Israel created the Mossad, which was there to disrupt and the PLO and to usurp the influence away from the PLO, which was secular, left, and quasi-Western, receptive to Western, values.
Yeah. And Yasser Arafat had the Palestinian people united, and that's why they created Hamas in the mid '80s to break up the Beatles and divide and conquer. You know, so just like this issue's dividing and conquering right now. Like all these people, Willie, you know this being a Southerner, all these people down south, all these Baptists, they're losing their shit over this because I two of my relatives, two very close relatives, we've had this discussion about what's going on, and one of them says, "You're with the Palestinians?" I'm like, "Well, fuck yeah, I'm for the Palestinians. I'm against genocide." And so, but they can't wrap their brain around it, that they're stuck in this, you know, the fairy tale book and all the shit, the nice things they say about Israel. And it's like, dude, that was written by people, by men who wanted to control society and use this religion as a vehicle to control society at the time. This is all just bullshit in here.
Well, people think that Palestinians are, you know, they think that the whole entity of the Middle East are a whole bunch of Muslims, and they think that they don't acknowledge that there's this thing is called Sunni and Shia, and they don't acknowledge that the various Muslim countries have different ideological worldviews, and even on the Palestinian issues. I mean, you know, when it comes to Palestine, not all Palestinians are Muslims. There's a significant section of them who are Christian, and many of them are secular. Probably
that church that got bombed by the Zionists, and we know it was the Zionists, as Christians. There's Christians that got hurt in there.
Wasn't that like the oldest church in the world?
That's what, yeah, it was like 1,000-year-old church. And I'm trying to tell my relatives this. I'm like, look, you're thinking of the Jewish people in the Bible. This ain't it. They're not the ones in control of this shit. It's the Zionists who are in control of Israel. It's not the Jewish people of the Bible that you're thinking of. And that's where they're stuck. They're stuck in this Bible mindset that Israel can do no wrong, but they're not seeing what's actually happening, or they're refusing to seeing, you know. And I had to tell them, look, there's a genocide going on. They're systematically murdering these people in Gaza, and have openly said they want to turn Gaza into a parking lot. You know, I mean, what kind of a God that you would worship would condone shit like that? And if that God condones that shit, I want nothing to do with that kind of God. No, no, sir.
And here's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of Jewish people who hates what's going on against the Palestinians, and what the Israelis are doing against the Palestinians this is not a Jewish thing per se. This is an Israeli governmental action thing. This is what human beings are doing to another group of human beings, and I had to explain that to people. And it's not anti-Semitic to call them out, just as it's not anti-Muslim to call out Saudi Arabia for committing a genocide in Yemen, and they're committing a genocide against their fellow Muslims.
Facts.
No.
Facts. Yep. Here, I actually, while you guys are, you know, talking about it, I actually found this this person on Twitter put up a bunch of these different videos just to show the proof, like that this, you know, like what you were saying, like Hamas was created, what the Israelis are saying about Palestinians and stuff. It's all here in these videos. Like
Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat. Hamas was encouraged.
That's Paul Ryan way back in the day admitting it in Congress that Israel created Hamas. Here's Madeline, I think it's Madeline Albright.
What do you have to say about dictators of countries like Indonesia, who we sell weapons to, yet they are slaughtering people in East Timor? What do you have to say about Israel, who is slaughtering Palestinians, who impose martial law?
If that guy would speak today,
why do we sell
he'd get booed.
He would get booed. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Same people. The same people would boo him.
Yep.
Why do we support them? Why do we bomb Iraq when it commits similar problems?
Crickets.
Look at that. There's military guys in the audience.
Examples of things that are not right in this world, and the United States is trying.
Clown. Let's turn into Jerry Springer.
I really am surprised that people feel that it is necessary to defend the rights of Saddam Hussein, when what we ought to be thinking about is how to make sure that he does not use weapons of mass destruction.
I'd like to.
Who are shouting? Just a moment.
I'm not defending them in the least. What I am saying is that there needs to be consistent application of U.S. foreign policy. We cannot support people who are committing the same violations because they are political allies. That is not acceptable. We cannot violate UN resolutions when it is convenient to us.
Exactly.
You're not answering my question, Madam Albright.
And she ain't gonna either.
There's another one. Sorry, yeah, you guys are right. Ron Paul. Sorry, I said Paul Ryan in this first video. I've been looking up.
Close.
I was
You
close. I
had to
know.
flip it.
It's guys with first names as the first and last name. I get so confused with them. And I've been looking up Paul Ryan all week. So anyway, okay. So here's a whole nother one.
Tutu would often speak about the need to liberate not just those oppressed, but the oppressor as well. He saw how white South Africans became bitter and hateful people as a consequence of the racism that dominated their daily lives, the dehumanizing of the other that is such a central component of any system of oppression.
But we will kill you in this village. Let's go home and go suck on my label. We will kill those people here in this village, man. We're hateful for your people.
And when he visited Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories, he saw the same thing amongst many Israelis, a hatred of the other who they had dehumanized, a shrinking of their own existence because they defined that existence in relation to those they subjugated and oppressed.
Part of my own concern for what is happening there is in fact not what is happening to the Palestinians, but it is what the Israelis are doing to themselves. I mean, when you go to those checkpoints and you see these young soldiers behaving abominably badly, they are not aware that when you carry out dehumanizing policies, whether you like it or not, those policies dehumanize the perpetrator.
This is that kind of shit is taught. You don't learn that on your own, and that's over 75 years of using fear and whatnot to propagandize these poor people.
Right. Absolutely.
He continued his search for a solution to the Palestinian issue throughout his life and continued steadfastly to call for boycott, divestment, and sanctions against Israel, just as he had against apartheid South Africa. Tutu felt very strongly, and we discussed this on.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's just kind of, some proofs that like, it reminds me of I'm pretty sure somebody in the audience is going to know what I'm talking about. There's this study that they did where they took a group of people and separated them into prisoners and guards and had them like live it out or something like that for a week.
It was at Harvard in the 70s or something. It was in one of these Ivy League schools. I think they did it.
Right. And like after a day or two, even though they were all just, friends and regular people before this test got started, by a day or two, the guys that were playing was guards were literally like beating these people and like I heard there was like possibly waterboarding going on. Like they were torturing these people just at LARPing for an experiment. And so that just goes to show like you put these people in states of power and really oppression or oppressing, then they're going to take that on as their personality and think that they're entitled to do that. And then after 75 years of it, I don't even know how you could imagine how much that has sunk into the psyche of those people.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you've seen the videos of these people, and you just played some right there.
Yeah, Stanford, thank you.
Death to Palestine. Death to
Arabs, right? Then second Nakba is coming.
But there is actually there's a bright side to this. 25, 30 years ago, there was only one side to this whole thing. And that was the one side was 25, 30 years ago. Israel is always on the correct side. Any nuance, you're an anti-Semite. And now there are people kind of like there's a crack into that narrative now, and now people are kind of realizing, maybe Israel needs to rethink their policies toward the Palestinians, and that's actual debate now. Now you still have assholes like Lindsey Graham, and you have Nikki Haley, and the neocons are back in the Republican Party. That anti-war right that they were bragging about, this Israeli conflict, that Bush Cheney bullshit came out in the open and is back in everybody's face. The Republicans are every bit as warmongering as the Democrats are on Ukraine. When it comes to the Middle East, they get wet over backing Netanyahu. I mean, they come in their pants. This is porn to them. Netanyahu is their porn, and that's what it is with them. And so I'm glad Ron Paul. I've always had a soft spot for Ron Paul now. I mean, I don't agree with his economic libertarianism, but yeah, I've always had a soft spot because on foreign policy, he always consistently made sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of the libertarians have too. Like as we come
Back
into
in the day,
social issues, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could, that's the thing. You could talk to libertarians about all kinds of social issues and stuff like that. It's just the economic issues. You're like, oh, okay.
That's the only thing that stops me from being a libertarian is the economics. If it wasn't for the economics, I think I could go there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're not bad people. They're kind of fun, actually.
And I consider myself a left libertarian in a way. So.
Okay, so this next one you got for us, do you want to talk about it? The Jello Biafra?
Yeah, Jello Biafra, former lead singer of the Dead Kennedys, lived in San Francisco, I believe, since 1977, and he ran for mayor of San Francisco in '79. And so he's going to sit there and share with everybody his takes on Dianne Feinstein and what it was like with her being mayor of San Francisco, and ultimately how right-wing she was, whereas the narrative was that she was this great shit lib. I'm the one calling her a shit lib. I mean, that's not the media calling her that, but they're trying to make her out like she's this benevolent progressive, and how she's to be remembered. And he's going to give you the good, dirty details on why she was a right-wing individual.
Okay. Awesome. Here we go.
Now it's time for another edition of What Would Jello Do? Good riddance, Dianne Feinstein. Finally gone. So many people at school who was this great pioneer for advancing the causes of women and equal rights and LGBTQ rights. And yes, she was pro-reproductive rights, but on all these other things, I beg to differ. She was no progressive. She was no touchy-feely liberal anything. I've lived in San Francisco since 1978, and of all the mayors I have been through here, Dianne Feinstein was the meanest, most petty, in a lot of ways, the most fascist mayor we ever had. She was more like Margaret Thatcher than how she's portrayed in national media since she first got into the Senate. First heard about her when Klaus Fluoride mentioned her early on when Dead Kennedy was starting as this really mean woman on the board of supervisors who told all these tenants in some apartment building she owned kind of downtown that if they all voted for Proposition 13, the cut of the tax base, cut of the schools, the influence of Proposition 13, she'd give them some kind of a break on their rent. And of course, instead, right afterwards, she raised later on in what might have been the same building, the Carlton Hotel, a lot of elderly and fixed income tenants, she shut all the heat off, trying to get them all to leave so she could convert the apartments one by one into condos. And she was mayor by then. So having heard just this about Feinstein, imagine my horror a few months later when that ex-cop, Dan White, lived in the one window he knew would be unlocked to avoid the medical detector, and he walked on down the hall, blew away Mayor George Moscone, who was a general genuine reformer after the reign of terror of Joseph Alioto. And down the hall he went and blew away Harvey Milk as well. And to my horror, who becomes acting mayor but Diane Franken-Feinswine? Then it was time to vote on the full mayor.
That's one thing that pisses me off too, because I've like just within the last couple of years looked up this Milk guy that was the mayor before Dianne Feinstein. Wasn't he like the first gay mayor ever in history? And he was killed, and then Feinstein who took his place, and that's who we've had in San Francisco ever since. Like, they had that fucking chance and it got ruined, and that's who they put in their place was her over this Milk guy, the first gay mayor in U.S. history. So sad.
Yeah, kind of the same what happened with JFK. You had JFK, and then boom, now all of a sudden you had LBJ, who was totally different, you know, conservative cat. You know, like, he managed to get some of JFK stuff through, but still, you know, he was no JFK himself.
Yes. Yep. Okay, good. Okay, thank you, Gamer. Yes. Harvey Milk, first gay mayor. Yep. All right. So sad. Such a sad story.
There's also a biopic by Sean Penn, our favorite person, who plays, ironically, Harvey Milk. It's called Milk. Is the name? I think it won the Oscar or may have been nominated or something. So it's really good.
All right. What are you eating over there?
What are you damn business? That's what I mean.
What are you
getting
eating?
up? Look, that's my house. You getting up in my Kool-Aid sugar? No, I'm eating Ben and Jerry's peanut butter cup because I'm hungry. I needed a sweet treat. I'm sorry.
Very nice.
Just an acting mayor, and she apparently promised her leading rival on the board, Quentin Kopp, and he helped vote to make her acting mayor. She wouldn't run for a real term, clearing the way for him. She had run for mayor twice before and lost. Didn't even make a runoff. And so, soon as she's voted and as the mayor until the election, she starts running for a real term. Quentin Kopp never forgave her, and that meant a blood feud began, culminating in the election in 1979, where I also ran. Within 2 weeks of Feinstein becoming mayor, police violence just skyrocketed. Brutality skyrocketed against Latino people, some labeled cholos, of course against LGBTQ people and undergrounds all over town. Harassment, violence, you name it. And yes, the cops loved going crazy on punk rockers, too. Going after Mabuhay Gardens, where we often played. Rented halls didn't last very long until the police would shut them down, in part perhaps because it wasn't something controlled by Bill Graham, who had a very palsy-walsy relationship with Dianne Feinstein. But it gets worse. 1981, San Francisco wins the Super Bowl. People are celebrating all over town. They never won anything like that before. There's people celebrating in the street, Broadway in Columbus, down Market Street, Market Castro. What do Feinstein's cops do but wait for a signal, and then they just went in and beat the crap out of people. They probably asked them to leave, and then, oh, you're not going to leave? Okay, fine. And they just attacked. And then Feinstein called a press conference praising the cops for being so level-headed under fire and sending a signal that that's exactly the kind of police violence she liked. But then found out a day or two later that one of her main financial backer kingpins was one of the people beat up in the cop violence. I mean, he was shoved into a doorway, skull cracked. He was 81 years old. So then she calls for an investigation of the police. Then the investigation of the police comes out just condemning her, condemning this thug police chief she appointed to get rid of the reform one, Charles Gain, the Moscone appointed, Cornelius Kahn Murphy, condemning him, condemning Feinstein's violent Gestapo cops. But to keep the report off the front page, she called a press conference that very day and announced she was banning handguns. Well, nice idea, but of course, that did not survive a court challenge, but nevertheless, she was riding that to more and more national publicity, which is what she really, really, really wanted, to the point where some guns that were turned in under amnesty, she had them melted down, made into a big cross, and gave it to the Pope at the Vatican, also with cameras in tow to make her even more famous among America's mayors. Just in time to land the Democratic Convention in 1984 to nominate Walter Mondale to run against Reagan. And she makes this, yes, someday I would like to be the first woman president. Hint, Fritz Mondale, I want to be your vice president, and so do a lot of my rich friends. Instead, to avoid her, he picks Geraldine Ferraro, as Feinstein's cops are running crazy all over town again. Union Square, other places. The picture of Michelle shocked on her debut album with the cops, either the club with arm around her neck and she's screaming and everything. That's San Francisco's finest doing what they like to do best. Feinstein would not hear of trying to rein them in. She loved this stuff. She even had a police radio in her limo where she could relax by listening to police radio instead of music or news, but she was traveling in her limo. One of the board of supervisors, Richard Conquisto, who was a sheriff earlier and a police chief later, even labeled her a cop groupie. And a cop groupie she was. Well, Dan White, of course, got off with 3 to 5 for manslaughter. The community goes crazy. People are storming City Hall with Feinstein trapped inside. And the police cars burning in front of City Hall are on the cover of Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables, Dead Kennedy's debut album. The cops finally just gave up on City Hall, broke up, marched up Market Street into Market and Castro, and just started beating up gay people. Broke through the windows of a bar called the Elephant Walk, which was later Harvey's and now it's something else, at 18th and Castro, right through the windows, and just cornered everybody there and beat the crap out of them. Why? We're Feinstein's cops. The Barbary Coast never died, and this is what we love to do because we know we can. Oliver DeChico, the engineer on Fresh Fruit, and some other stuff told me later that once he was down on 24th Street late at night in Noe Valley, and he saw a cop car stop, drag a guy out of probably a bar, maybe a restaurant, into the middle of the street, pound the crap of him, and then leave him there and drive away because they knew they could get away with it. That was Feinstein's police. Now she's seen as a great crusader for LGBTQ rights. Well, San Francisco was very pioneering, progressive, appointing very pioneering and progressive, passing the first domestic partnership law, legalizing and recognizing same-sex couples as real couples. Mayor Feinstein vetoed it. She also was so obsessed with police, military, and force, it greatly expanded something called Fleet Week, where all these Navy ships come into town, all these sailors go roaring around town, and fighter planes buzz over my house for days on end. Kind of like you're standing in the middle of Baghdad, and she voted for the Iraq War too. And you know, this stuff, like when it first started, sure enough, there were all these drunk sailors who'd be roaming up and down Broadway in North Beach, where Mabuhay Gardens and the on Broadway above it was. Every once in a while, they'd come on in, drunk out of their minds, not understand what punk was all about, and just start slugging punk rockers. Thank you, Diane. Yes, they're out raiding Broadway right below when he played the show above Mabuhay Gardens, on the second floor, which was the last day of the on Broadway video DVD. That's the best known live Dead Kennedy stuff you can get out there. And she didn't stop there. There's been, from time to time, there's been questions. Oh, well, why do the punks hate Mayor Feinstein so much? NPR, KQED did something like that in 2015, and then they interviewed me again about Feinstein after she died, and I just couldn't hold back. It wasn't just the violence. She was virulently against any kind of rent control. After all, she was a slumlord. I ran against her in 1979.
Of course she was.
And kind of on a dare.
Right.
It turned out to be lots of cool, really cool pranks. One of my
That's what
favorites
people
was
don't
like,
understand. Most of people that are California that are homeowners and are renting are slumlords. Most of them are slumlords.
Some of those things I had in there were aimed directly at her, and I think they were very practical, like making police run for elective office every 4 years, voted on by the districts they patrol. They'd have to live in the hood, too, in order to get elected. People like George Floyd and Oscar Grant and so many others might very well still be alive if that was the law. And then Feinstein, of course, you know, totally into her law and order shtick and everything. I'm going to clean up San Francisco. We're going to get this pretty straight. I don't want San Francisco to become Kook City, which is her way of doing this to LGBTQ people, to minorities, and of course artists and punk rockers. Let's not forget the hippies are still there, some of them too. She hated everybody. She wanted just, you know, some sterile little city and stuff where people could make money. She said she was going to clean up Market Street, and she meant the Tenderloin, which is still a ghetto today and was long before Feinstein was mayor. I thought, wait a minute, what's at the other end of Market Street? That's what needs cleaning up, Diane. That's where Bank of America headquarters was. That's where Chevron headquarters was at the time. Bechtel Construction and so many more. That's what needs cleaning up, which is where I got the idea to require businessmen to wear clown suits between the hours of 9 and 5. It was aimed at them. That's the one on my mayor platform that the corporate McNews liked the most, and a lot of people, that's the only one they know, but hey, why not? I don't want San Francisco to become Kook City. Dennis Perrone, running for supervisors, longtime cannabis legalization and LGBTQ activist, said, we are the kooks, and that's why we're running. She wanted to wipe us out as publicly and viscerally as possible. And that's just the way the place was run. She was such a petty little fascist that she had a columnist for the San Francisco Examiner, Warren Hinkle, arrested for walking around with his basset hound without a leash. He got dragged away by the police, put in a car, taken down to the jail, everything, just as a gesture to show who's boss from Dianne Feinstein. During that mayor campaign, I successfully avoided her except for one all candidates meeting at a radio station. And finally, she walks in and just dressed in tight black suit like a gun moll and just couldn't contain what a dragon lady she was. Even going up to people she knew, like Quentin Kopp, saying, "Oh, hello, it's so nice to see you." Just couldn't contain the venom and made no attempt to. That was the point. Maybe she didn't know any better. Another person running in that race was a guy named Joe Hughes, who either grew up with or knew a lot about Feinstein's childhood and teenagerhood. Yes, she was born into privilege, a surgeon and a former model, and that even when she was a teenager, according to Hughes, instead of going out on dates or this, that, and the other, they would cart her, at least have the help do it, to board of supervisors meetings so young Dianne would take notes about what she was going to do later. Maybe that's why she thought she was so entitled to become the first woman president. Hint, hint to Mondale. Oh, and as far as LGBTQ crusades, well, sorry. San Francisco did pass a groundbreaking domestic partnership law in 1983 that said, yeah, same-sex couples are legal domestic partners and have the same rights as married couples. Mayor Feinstein vetoed it. She also publicly condemned Gavin Newsom for all the wrong reasons. When he was mayor in 2004, John Kerry loses that election to Bush. She blamed him for publicly endorsing same-sex marriage. That was what cost him the election. That's just venomous claws of Feinstein. The same Feinstein who, once she got to the Senate, she still never met police state stuff she didn't like. She quickly established herself as a leading advocate for one of the most genocidal dictators of the second half of the 20th century, Suharto from Indonesia. Of course, she was rah-rah Patriot Act, totally backed the NSA when they were caught spying on all these people, thank you, Chelsea Manning, thank you at the time, WikiLeaks and all that, totally staunchly defending them until she found out they were spying on her and tapping her phone. Then she kind of changed her tune, at least for a while. But always renewed the Patriot Act, loved the Iraq War, never met a war on drugs thing she didn't like, or more police, stuff like that. And she even voted to confirm most of Trump's cabinet nominees, such as Ryan Zinke, that horrible Interior Secretary, Elaine Chao, several of the other really, really bad ones, Mike Pompeo. She voted for him. Then comes her second national coming out as a completely windbag on the Senate Judiciary Committee, where she was a ranking member when Brett Kavanaugh's nomination came up. And there's Christine Blasey Ford sends her a note saying, look, that guy raped me. She just left it at her desk for 6-7 weeks, didn't think it was important. Finally, it came out, and she treated her and the others just like Joe Biden treated Anita Hill and wouldn't let the other people backing her testify in order to get Clarence Thomas in and stuff like that. She basically protected Brett Kavanaugh, even though she voted against him, but it was safe to do so. Voted for, and then after the Amy Coney Barrett whitewash, ramming her through right before the election, she hugs Lindsey Graham, noted segregationist, white supremacist, and everything else, senator and Trump suckler from South Carolina, and hugs him. Oh, that's one of the best hearings I've ever been a part of. Gushy, gushy, goo, goo, gaga. Where was her brain? By then, even the San Francisco Chronicle, who helped build her, and she never did anything wrong in that paper, well, their leading editorial one Sunday was for her to please step down and resign because she wasn't capable of doing her job anymore. Her own staff was complaining that she didn't always know what was going on, didn't remember who she was talking to, what they were talking about, things like that. It gets even more glaring when she finally came back from the Shingles episode, and she looked like that grandmother that an Italian guy at a black metal band dug up out of her grave and propped her up against the gravestone, and that was the cover of the debut album of Mortuary Grape. That's what Feinstein kind of came across like. The Italian guys, as Wesley would put it, were rescued and taken to jail. Dianne, of course, was still so addicted to and obsessed with power, she didn't retire and ran for yet another term when she was 85 years old already, and the spineless, corrupt, cigar-chomping California Democratic Party bigwig said, great, run for another term, no problem. That's bad on them, folks, because of course it became a bigger and bigger mockery until finally the Wicked Witch of the Bay Area expired. Yeah, some good things like the assault weapons, and she did do some other good things over time, but she also did a lot of bad stuff. And if she had been from any other city or any other state, she would have been a Republican.
Yep. I freaking 100% agree on that.
Yeah, she was just a horrible individual. I remember she was at there was some activists demanding for Medicare for all, and she said that she's not going to she's going to make sure that there will be no healthcare law that's going to do away with private health insurance, and she made it clear she defends private health insurance companies. I was like, okay, and she's dead to me, you know.
Yeah.
Well, she's dead to everybody. So, you know, wait a minute. There's a thing for that. I had a thing.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's dead to everybody. But no, you're right. I remember those stories back in the day, Willie. I didn't really think about it that much, but I always heard her name on the news a lot back then. Because it was like mid 70s, right? She was mayor of
I think
late 70s, right? 79. Okay. So yeah. But that's all you heard from but even then you got propaganda from the press, you know, Pioneer, you know, first, you know, Dianne Feinstein was all, you know, because women's lib and stuff was still pretty popular then too, even though they never passed the Equal Rights Amendment. But you know, but yeah, and there was talk too that Nancy Pelosi had encouraged her to run again because they didn't know, because they wanted to groom Adam Schiff for her seat once she retired. I don't know. They all, you know, they always play those games, you know, and now we know that they play these games behind the scenes, so it really doesn't matter. They're all just choosing each other. Nobody's electing any of these people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and that's what's going on right now too. Like, keep your eye out for next year for Dianne Feinstein's spot. It's probably going to be taken over by Adam Schiff, because I'm sure that's what they're still doing right now. They're still training him to go into that spot. So they've been, yeah. Just because she passed away doesn't mean that the changes or the plans have changed. It just means you just need to move the pawn over to another spot so you can keep playing the chess game.
Yeah, they try to make her out like she was a West Coast Bella Abzug, and you know, she wasn't. I mean, you know, a lot of people don't know about Bella Abzug today, but she was a well-known feminist in the 1970s, a New York congresswoman. She was basically, well, AOC was supposed to be politically, but AOC couldn't live up to it politically. But you know, more on the feminist side, explicitly in relation to Dianne Feinstein, and Dianne Feinstein was no, just as AOC is no Bella Abzug, Dianne Feinstein was no Bella Abzug either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think Bella's days are long gone. You know, it's just because then we all know that at least on the national level, it's all theater. And when you look at it from that angle, when you know that all of this is just fake and these people are just going through the motions, doing these little things to try to manipulate the public opinions and stuff, you know, it doesn't work on people like us. But that's why we constantly have to convince the normies, as I like to call them, the people who are still in these cults, you know, look, all of this is just smoke and mirrors. We have to change the system before we can change anything else, you know. But it's hard to break them out, you know, because decades and decades and decades of propaganda, man, just like those people in Israel, man, decades and decades and decades of propaganda, man. That's hard to break somebody out of that kind of generational thing like that. But we got to do it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but Bella Abzug was fabulous, and she wore great hats. She had some fabulous hats. That's why I remember seeing
hats. Yeah, oh yes.
I saw that hat on TV. I was like, that's a fat hat. And I said fat before it was, you know, cool. But I said FAT because it was a big ass hat. That's a fat hat.
Yeah, my goodness. She did have big ass hats.
And she was hated by the right wing. I mean,
sorry, I had to Google it. Check this out.
Bella,
look at those hats.
Hell yeah, look at them hats. Now my woman a pimp, son. Look at that.
That hat is amazing.
You mother, look at that. The one with the fist, she's like, bitch, you better have my money. I done told you twice with these hands. Don't make me tell you again with these feet.
Yeah, she was hated by the right wing. I mean, they hated her. I mean, and she was a consistent fighter on pretty much broadly on everything.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, now they're all posers, man. They're all just like, yeah, we're gonna go in there and start a ruckus, and they get in there like, yeah, that Joe Biden's pretty cool, huh? And you're like, oh, dude, look at that, smoke him if you got him, baby. And
She's
they're hot too.
She's badass. I love her.
That's double trouble right there.
Oh,
He's
this is
smoking
good.
in more ways than one. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when the ERA they were trying to pass the ERA and the right wing were trying to put a stop to it. I actually remember in the early 80s hearing TV evangelists doing sermons on TV on Sunday mornings denouncing her. I mean, they went out of their way to denounce this woman in a TV on television on what was supposed to be about the Gospels and all that. They went and did a sermon on how wonderful Ronald Reagan was and how evil Bill Abzug was. I mean, and that's not hyperbole. I used to hear shit like that on TV when just surfing the channels. When back then your cable service provided you 15 channels.
Yeah, and that's when they were trying to break women were trying to break out of these norms. You know, they were tired of being the housewives, you know, taking Dexatrim and getting fucked up on legal meth all the time, you know, and watching their soap operas and having little lunches with their girlfriends. You know, they wanted to be out there and doing the same shit the men were doing. You know, it's the 70s. It wasn't the 50s anymore. And yeah, and sure enough, the evangelical conservatives were out there like, these demon women are trying to ruin women's roles and you know the whole thing. So and then they never got it passed, which I never understood. Like, you would think like in 2023 we could have passed the Equal Rights Amendment, right? You would think,
right?
No.
Right.
You would think,
right?
You would think we would have universal health care at this point. You would think we would have. There was a lot of things you think we would have could achieve in this country at this point, and yet we're not there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Y'all thought we were gonna have flying cars by now, so.
Well, I thought we had flying cars like 20 years ago. No.
No.
Well, speaking of flying cars, I found out that the Jetsons were a real story. The fictional character George Jetson was born in the year 2022 because the cartoon supposedly take place in the year 2062. So if it's really going to happen, he's 1 year old walking around somewhere. George Jetson.
Yep.
Little trip.
We got a lot of work to do. A lot.
Yeah, whoever shit out George Jetson, put him in bubble wrap. All right, we gotta keep him safe.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know if the world in the Jetsons actually was like good either, too, because I mean, from those cartoons that I did remember watching as a really little kid of the Jetsons, why were they so high up above the earth? Like, what was so wrong down on the earth that they had to be so high up? Everybody had to be high up. Or was it they were just that elitist and they were high up and we never got to see the poor people down below on the earth? Like, maybe that is our reality coming soon. And, you know, these skyscrapers that they're building, like in Dubai with the world's tallest buildings and shit, maybe it is coming to true in a kind of a utopian sort of cartoony way.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's true here. I mean, you come to Manhattan and you see all these high-rise apartment buildings. They're either full of rich people or they're empty and are just tax shelters. But you know, it's the same thing. It's like this whole literally lording over you type situation in the sky. And maybe that's how the Jetsons was, you know, because George worked at Spacely Sprockets, you know, and he's probably pulling down some pretty big bank if you can afford a robot, right? So they weren't like, I would say they were probably upper middle class at least, the Jetsons, right? Upper middle class.
Oh yeah, I mean the CEO was coming to their house and shit.
Yeah, Spacely Sprocket himself, Mr. Space. Not to be confused with Cogswell Coggs, the his rival. But yeah, they were. I mean, it makes sense. A lot of cash up in the sky. Fuck the poor's down below, and they never really showed the poor.
Overpopulation. That was where they were up in the sky. I think we explained this now. I think we finally solved this. They're up in the sky because of the population problem down below.
Yep. Probably most likely, yeah. Because if you think about it, the Jetsons, I mean, it was, the houses were sporadic. They were, very set apart and nicely. Yeah. I could absolutely agree. So yeah, maybe we already are going to have the Jetsons before we think about it. So, screw Back to the Future, no flying cars or anything, but the rich people get to live really high up and feel like they're above us. That's awesome.
The world will be filled with 30 billion people, and it will be a dystopia down here, but they're going to be living high and large up in the sky.
Yep. It's so weird too, because elevation does that to you as well too. Because I live in I don't think that I'm better than anybody down in the city that's below me, because I'm at 5,000 foot elevation. So the highway that to get down to the city. Here we go again. Here you fucking go again, you asshole. But it is a really different, unique perspective of looking at things when you're this high up above. Being 5,000 feet and then looking over the edge and seeing all the way, because I live in California, so seeing San Bernardino, Los Angeles, all the way to the ocean, you get to just see all of it and how many people are really actually there, all packed into this small area. It is a different perspective to where I could see if you had a whole bunch of money, you would probably think that you're better than and you're above people and stuff. I see where it's weird how an elevation and a perspective can change, and then obviously adding money and privilege to it too can change that look of otherizing people. I'm better than you because I have more money and I'm higher. I'm 5,000 feet above you. It's just so strange to me how it could get like that, but I see that.
Well, I think it probably has something to do with people's height too, because normally, and I'm not one of these people, but
yes, you are. You're a giant.
Tall people generally tend to have this kind of this thing yes, I can see more ahead than a shorter person can. You have a better perspective of what is I guess metaphorically the future, what lies ahead, and maybe that's one of the advantages that these rich people have too, because of their status as being rich people. They're able to have that vantage point, maybe literally and figuratively, of being able to see stuff that other people aren't able to see, and that's how they stay rich, and that's how they stay powerful, because they can see it, we can't.
You have to live in it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very, very true.
So you shorties down below there with the Flintstones, Papa Hirsch said. He said the people down below the Jetsons were the Flintstones. So you little shorties, I'm looking out for you up here. I'm not just I'm not just looking at the clouds. I'm looking out for you guys too. So
that's right. That's right. Welcome. I'm looking out for you guys too, 5,000 feet above everybody. I'm looking out. I'm keeping an eye out.
She's fancy.
I'll let you all know when the bombs come.
Bombs coming. We're all heading to Nipple Mountain. We're going to Willie's place. We're going to head up to the Titty Mountain.
There you go. Yeah.
Bringing it around town.
To ride it out in a big old mountain, Titty Mountain. And
here we go.
We should go out as human beings.
Mount Pilot. Yeah.
Mount Pilot.
All right, we are almost done for the day. What do you got going on this week, Warren?
This and tomorrow night, Secret Show, midnight Eastern time with some broad named Stanley, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, some dude's name. Yeah, I don't know. She's ugly.
Yeah,
she's
she's one
extra.
eye. She wears buttless chaps for no reason whatsoever, just for fun. Yeah, so Secret Show with let's see if I do this right. With this broad right there. Not this broad, although I like this broad. Broad's cool. But this broad tomorrow night. So it's going to be a very special Secret Show because it's going to be Comic-Con edition So I brought a teaser picture. Can I show the teaser picture?
Yes.
Of what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. I brought a few pictures, but I did want to show you this kind of the scale of what these things look like. So I don't know if you've ever been to Comic-Con in San Diego. Apparently, it's a little the venue is a little smaller, so it seems like there's a lot more people. But this is the Javits Center in Manhattan, and this is where I was for 4 days with a friend of mine, and yeah, we had all kinds of stuff. So we're gonna be talking about that tomorrow night. I got a nice little music video kind of wrapping up the event of the 4 days, and it was great. Met some nice people, and it was fun. So so that's coming up Saturday, and I believe coming up soon, like I said, I may be on Chicago Corner for Halloween, but that's coming up like week after next. So what is it? Yeah, it's week after next, right? When is it? What day is it on? Oh, it's on the 31st here. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, so it's on the
31st this year.
This year.
Yeah.
So, other than that, not really much going on. Kind of I might pop a Mundus Ultra in there at some point, maybe a Extra Bull Alive. We'll see. Those kind of like pop-up shops in the city. You know, they're there for a few days and then they go away. So, but anyway, and that's all I got going on. And you can find me at Linktree /Extra Bulla. That's all my stuff on there. So
2 L's.
Saves a lot of time. Bulla, yes.
Extra Bulla.
Like buttless chaps, only we bullous chaps.
Bullous chaps. Ballless chaps. Ooh.
Ballless chaps. Oh my, let's hope so. Let's not hope there's extra balls on those things. What? Sorry. We're tainting the show. I don't mean to.
We are. That's okay. We can taint it. What do you got going on, Willie?
Well, I didn't do a live stream last Saturday because I was super tired. I've been working like hell lately, stressed out. But I'm hoping to do a stream tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, subject to be announced. I'll think of something. Tuesday, it just occurred to me very early on when we were talking about it earlier. I should do something maybe Halloween themed for the Willie Bragg show, and so I was doing that. I was going to do a video yesterday with Jamar Jabari and Thomas Salisbury from Tommy Nation Politics, but yeah, it didn't. Scheduling conflict, and Thomas held up at work, and Jamar was not feeling well, so we're going to schedule it for next Thursday. So and then next Friday, of course, there's another episode of Bragglands,
right?
And then maybe something else will pop up in between. You never know.
That's right. Yeah. I just have to say I love this picture, Warren. Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
Here for it.
Yeah, so this was also part of Comic-Con. So this is Drew Blank, DREWBLANK.com. It is the Pillow Pascal. Daddy's here. Let Daddy hold your head. And then you can't really see it, but like at the bottom it says, "I'll hold your head, sweet girl," or something like that, something creepy, and it's got his picture on there. So
that's awesome. I bet that sold out so fast. Everybody's in love, like with Pedro Pascal. That's like everybody's new girl, like crush.
They're in love with Pillow Pascal. They are.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian with emphasis on man. Oh, you dirty, sexy little beast.
That's right. I never liked him. I never really watched any of the things he was in until recently when I saw Game of Thrones, and he is amazing. He is a really good actor. I'll give him that.
He's good in The Last of Us too. The Last of Us is
That's what I've been hearing.
Earl of Laurel, Mr. Show had Taint magazine. They also had the ripoffs Twasn't and Twarn't. That was in that bit too. So I just wanted to add that. I love Mr. Show. If you've never seen Mr. Show, it's one of the best sketch comedy shows I've ever seen. But be warned, trigger alert, it does have Sarah Silverman in it at times. So when she was somewhat funny. So
yeah,
it was a long time ago. Now she got old and bitter, just like the rest of them. But back then, super funny. Just saying.
I used to have a crush on Sarah Silverman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, she was funny, funny, pretty. She had very smart, and now she's just bitter and sad and rich and, lost touch with what it's like to, care about people, I guess,
Yeah,
That's
she
what
turned
most
out to be a
people do.
disappointment. Hollywood
Yeah.
shit.
A lot of them are, Willie. A lot of them, those masks are coming, and it's good. It's good that they're coming off. Better to know somebody for who they are than to be guessing about it most of the time. So, it sucks, but would you rather be in denial?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cowboy Kitty, I don't know about the fall kitty photos. You have to send those to me so I can see them. I have not seen them. I don't have everything else. I'm only hanging out with you guys all week, so I'll be on the show with you tomorrow, and then obviously I'll be on the show on Friday. Go follow Papa Hirsch over on his Twitch because he'll probably be streaming some gaming tomorrow, and I'm like tailing onto his streams until I can get some balls enough to do it myself. So just go give him a follow until I get some guts enough to stream gaming myself, because I usually just go on his gaming streams. Because I'm a shadow.
Well, you've got your own, so we have to start stalking you on Twitch.
I know it's so quiet over there. Thanks over there on Twitch, Hirsch, for holding it down today. He's probably my only viewer.
Vexing Vixens, right?
Yeah, Vexing Vixens. So yes, yeah, we talk politics and gaming and stuff, which is cool. Like I've been on his last 2 streams with the gaming, and it's so fucking cool. Like that's exactly like what I've been like dreaming for, is just people who game and then still also talk politics at the same time. And he did that in his own game the last 2 streams, and I'm just like, yeah, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. This is amazing. So, like I said, I'm tailing onto his streams until I can get the guts enough to do it myself.
Right on.
Yeah. But that's it. So go follow him right there. Papa Hirsch over on Twitch. There you go. It's right down there. Help me, Warren.
What?
Okay, never mind. All right, you guys. We're going to get out of here. Vexing Vixens is a little redundant. Is it? Well, because
Vixens are not vexing though.
No, vexing is I googled like a different term for like annoying or somebody who gets on your nerves, and vexing is the word that came up. So we're vexing vixens, as in like we're annoying.
Or maybe you're going around finding vixens and annoying them. You're actually the vexing. It's not.
I'm the vexing ugly person, and I go find really hot vixens and try to make them my girlfriend.
You vex them, and you vex them by doing that. Exactly.
I don't know. It was something I came up with. I figure it out. It'll change eventually, maybe.
Vex. Not Vicks Vapor Rub, but vexing vixens. But there is alliteration there.
Yes.
Vicks Vapor Rub.
Vicks Vapor Rub. Oh my goodness.
Actually, the man that invented vapor
vixens. Vapor Vixens Vexing Rub.
Oh my god. I'm gonna make a t-shirt that says that.
Vapor Rub. Gosh, the Vapor Rub. The house that's down. The house that's down the street, which is the only house that's kind of considered a mansion. That's where he lives. Oh, that was his house when he was alive. Down the street, where I live.
All right. Rick says Mexicans cure all Vicks. We're done. This show is just failed.
Yes. I don't get it, but that sounds racist.
I know it sounds so racist, but that's okay. I mean, hey, if Mexicans can cure Vicks, then they're doing something good out there.
Yeah.
All right, I'm getting out of here. You guys are weird.
I got nothing.
I got nothing. All right. Peace out, losers.